This meeting is being recorded. Inform to your colleagues, at least please everyone do 2 to 3 calls to your friends and colleagues to log in the sessions. Only 14s are there, 120 students are there, and only 14 to 20 or 30 students attend the class. What it is? Come on, fast. Just give someone's missed call to log in the session. Only 2 to सबने दो लोगों को कॉल करो प्लीज. कम ऑन. एक दो दिन आप उठाओगे तो फिर ऑटोमेटिकली दे विल लॉग इन द सेशन. ऑल रेगुलर स्टूडेंट्स दिखते ही नहीं है जो रेगुलर रहते हैं वो. Come on fast. Good, very good. Chalo. Call everyone to students. Just inform them. Only 2-3 days you need to do this task, and it's a very good task for you because you will get benefit of that. Okay. So just inform only 2 students. Okay. Let me start. We'll share the screen where we are yesterday. Yes, we found some and we learned some how to calculate some activities and the diagrams chart, how to prepare the chart, and on that basis how to calculate the critical path. For that we just learn what is EST and LST, right? So LST means latest time and EST means earliest. Okay. So earliest start time. So yesterday we have seen how to prepare the list of activities. For example, if you start any small project, so that we just found the place. After that, we just do some kind of work. Whatever the installation is there means small tasks, and the project is complete, right? But for that, we need to do plan. How it is? It is like that. Where it is? Yeah, it is like that, means list of activity you need to prepare. site selection or place or location, whatever, then digging the well, line field channels, procurement of pump, whatever, and installation pump and test. Means it's a small project of to uh, making borewell or to prepare a well, right, for water well. Now then we have seen the interrelationship among the activities. Yes, it is important. It's a very small activity, but how it interrelate with project manager and team. So the relationship among that activities could be defined, specifying the preceding and succeeding activity. Yes, how to start it, right? If you start early start time means on particular time, so it will come the benefit on time, means you need to prepare everything, means material, manpower, whatever the sanctions, approval, everything, and 1 or 2 day you have decided that this week we need to complete that activity, or 2 weeks we need to complete that activity without any error, without any default, without any late, right? So that is the completion of activity, right? And what is the relationship, because without of that particular material, that particular manpower, that particular resources, we can't complete this thing. So it is interrelated. Yes, you have decided as a project manager you need to bore a well or you need to a well, but the resources is not available, the material, the machinery is not available. So planning, making planning is not important, but whatever the fulfill it, and whatever the plan you do, you just complete it, you finished it with proper way, right? So that is the interrelationship with product and activity. Now first activity is selection of site, whatever we have seen, then become preceding activity to the activity of digging the well. Yes, first you have decided the work and then you start after that plan. So in PERT, right? So it is like that the relationship is generally defined using the preceding activity. Only the termination activities will not have any preceding activities. Termination means जो late हो गई है या delay हो गए हैं, you can't count, right? So या फिर cancelled हो गई वो activity, that is not activity. Completion activity is important, and for that we have seen the table 2, how interrelationship of activity, right side selection. Wait a minute, yes. So the site selection means symbol. It's yes. It means it is completed. And preceding activities means you are not started work, only the selected. Digging well, it comes in B symbol, and it preceding activity is A, means the working is going on. Right? Digging well means what it is, the required manpower, the required machine, the required material. Right? So that is called preceding activities. Now the lying field channels, obviously it comes symbol is C, but B means after digging well, you just put the machines or whatever the channels, whatever the material you put in that particular site. Procurement of pump, right? Then you just do that things. Then installation of pump, right? Then you install it properly, and then after that, after the installation, you test it. Yes, water is coming or not, right? Force is how check the force, check the water, everything, right? So that is interrelationship activity of each other. Now estimation of activity time, how it will start. The activity time is the time which is actually expected to be expended in carrying out the activity, whatever the time you expected. And in deterministic case, in some kind of cases, CPM, when we calculate critical path method, so one time estimate use in probabilistic case. So in PERT, the activity time has some kind of probabilistic distribution and is the weighted average of three times estimates, right? So optimistic time, pessimistic time, and most likely time is there. So for each activity, the expected time for each activity is computed as follow. How it is? Yesterday we have seen like that expected time, it is equal to TE expected time, and for it is a TO plus 4 TM plus TP divided by 6. It's a formula. 6 time now, it's a formula, right? So where T0 is the optimistic time, TM is the model time, whatever, and it is TP is the pessimistic. P is a pessimistic time, M is the model time, and O is the optimistic time, right? So just remember in your mind or note down in your copy of this formula. And we have seen the examples how we calculated the estimated time. So here it's one small examples like that. The first of activity is 3 time estimate, optimistic, most likely, and pessimistic time. And here are given the optimistic time is 4, the model time or most likely time it is a 6, and the pessimistic time is a 14 days respectively. So you just calculate on that base. So optimistic time 4, uh, model time or most like time at is 6, and pessimistic time is 14. And how you calculate? So 4 plus 4 into 6, the 6 is the, why we take 6, because it is the formula, and plus 14, so it comes a 7 days, means overall time you require to complete that particular activity, it is 7, right? So, and on that basis we calculate the critical path also. But before that, the activity time estimate chart we have seen. Here the activity time estimation chart. So the activity is, and the symbols and the preceding activities we have already seen, and how we calculate the optimistic time, most likely time, and pessimistic time, and estimated time. So whatever the time you required, because in problem you have given, and on that basis you calculate it and divide it to it. So this chart is important to calculate the critical path. If you give exact number with exact number on that chart, right? So here network diagram. Yesterday we have seen that network diagram and flow chart. So here whatever the chart we prepare here, on that basis we start the path, right? A is equal to 7. Okay, here we have seen estimated time, right? Site selection, and the last option whatever the calculation is comes, so 7. So it comes 7 3 15 7 3, right? So A is 7, B, D, C, E 3, and you just put it the values and finished it, right? So it's a flow diagram, 7 3 3 2 15, right? Now on that base, right, path 1 A B E F, right? Don't worry, I'll share these notes to all of you, so it's easy to calculate it. And after this chapter we'll take, do practice, okay, how we calculate the critical path. It's very easy, but you should know the formula how to calculate it, okay? If you know what is optimistic time, most likely time, and pessimistic time, so it is very easy to calculate it, and the problems or the figures given into the problems. Now here we have calculated, wait a minute. Ah, now here we have calculated the graph, right? The network diagram. So here path 2 A B C F, path 3 A D E F, right? First A B C F path, then A B D E path, then whatever the amount you put, you just highlighted it. A D E F path, A D E F path, right? So here it is A D E F, right? Here you just show the through the arrow, and then calculate the total, right? So here all are the path 2 because it will take 27 days, and whatever the days is more, it is critical path. Means it's a very small activity, it's a very small project, and you will take 27 days to complete that project, right? So how we elaborate on how we interpret it that way. And the simple path is the 15 days, which we have already calculated in the first activity, because 15 days or 7 days we have to complete the activity. Third path is comes in 19 days, is very near to 2-3 days we have extra, if we calculate it on that way, right? But we means maximum less time we need to use, and it is calculated that particular method, right? Now, okay, fine. See, see, the graphical representation of the project shows the precedence relationship among the activities. Yes, every figures and every um, symbols is related to each of them, right? Everyone's relation mentioned here. So, an arrow generally represents activity in the diagram, while a circle represents event. है ना? Circle. We have just mentioned the circle and arrow, circle and arrow. So it is easily to calculate the critical path. And each activity start with an event and end in the event. Right. So activity in the projects are performed either subsequently, one after another, or they are undertaken concurrently or simultaneously. So to draw the network, it required the knowledge of specifying which activities must be completed before other activities can be started, which activities can be performed in parallel, and which activities immediately succeed other activities. So some of the common combination of activity in a project as follows. Here we have seen the diagram. It's a logic. So first it is the diagram is AB. We have shown the way that AB, and the logic is activity A is preceding activity, right? Means just preceding activity means you just find out the things, and activity B is need to completed before start of activity B, right? Now whatever the material, whatever the plan you prepared, you just keep ready to start it, right? So keep ready to start means you what gathered all things, you arrange everything, just we need to start it, right? So that is the activity B. In other words, B start after A finish. What it simple way, when A is finished his work, after that B start his work, because it's a relation, interrelationship. Incorporate when we work any team. So each one is depend to others, right? When A group completed his activity, then start B group. B completed, then start C. C completed, then start E, and ED is the finishing time, or D is completed the activity. But if A is not started, so how D completed his activity, right? Now the activity B and C are concurrent activities, right? C is the concurrent activities. Any one of these cannot start until activity A is completed. So main activity start by A, right? If A is started, then B is finished, then C started, right? So interrelated activity is performed to each other. So here we have seen the diagram, like So A is completed, then B is started, then after completion B, C is started. Here also we have seen in the third activity, A is started, then B is started, after completion B, C is started, right? In the fourth, we have seen the it's give you an indications how who is started first, right? So neither activity C or D can start until both activities A and B are completed, but C and D can start independently, right? So yes, here what we learn from that, if A and B is not completed activity means they don't start, but C and D have a time because they just prepare what kind of activity they want to do. They just prepare, and when A and B completed, then they will start their activities and finished before time or on time, whatever the time they have decided. Got it? For example, simple example, in your SIP, right? You are just going, you just collect the data, but when you will get time, you just started to prepare their chapters. Introduction chapter is completed, then your what it is literature review chapter is completed, research methodology chapter is completed, company profile is a good chapter, wo bhi complete ho gaya. Now the time is for data analysis, which is very difficult. Whatever the objective you have taken, you select each objectives and you just proof it. Yes, data analysis, my first objective so and so. So first objective, you whatever you what you did for to prepare, what you did learn, whatever, you just collect data, you just analyze it, you prepare a chart, table, diagrams and interpretations, right? Then second objective, because if you are not proof first objective, how you start your second objective, right? Then you take a second objective, whatever the objective you have written in your SIP, you just select it, then you prove it, the chart, table, analysis, interpretation, and then you go third objective, whatever the analysis and all. Overall, first and second objective it is completed, then third objective is easy to complete it. And you just work for 2 years or 3 years, then first you just analyze your objectives. After that, you just interpret all, compile the data, first year, second year, and third year, and then you analyze and interpret with table and chart. So that is the perfect data analysis of you are doing, and as per means whatever the objective you have selected, your objectives is fulfill that particular SIP or project, right? And overall that you need to do the conclusion, you need to do the findings, whatever the find, and what you think, what kind of suggestions you want to give, right? Finished. Finished, right? Means your work is finished. So it is dependent or interrelated with your first, second, third, fourth objectives, whatever the data you have collected, when you start, when you finished, everything. If you do group wise, है ना? A, B, C, D, E. A for your all executive summary and your abstracts and your introductions. B for your company profile. C for your, so every activity you need to start on that way and finished on that way, right? Next, yes. Yes, do you understand what I'm saying? Anyone want to ask any question regarding this? Yeah, okay. Am I audible to all of you? Okay. Yes or no? I can't hear you, anyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Renuka? Yes, Sakshi. Okay, thank you. Sakshi, what about others? Why they are not logging? Your BA students, inform them to log in the session. Yeah. Now we are in a dummy activity. How it is start? Okay. So dummy activity is the example of project prop. 2 is to be raised in same plot of land after harvesting of crop 1, and activities that their interrelation could be as under crop activity, harvesting activities, or some plant activities, right? So here the harvesting of crop 1 is code A. Rescinding activity means just you have decided you do to harvesting the crop. Now sale of crop BA means sale of crop if your crop is going good and is ready for sale, you do it, and the code is give B, and the preceding activity is A, means ready for sale. Raising nursery of crop 2, yes, you have decided ki now you have just raising nursery, you have just start to nursery, but it is a plan, not started. And transplanting crop, and for nursing you transplanting the crop in next uh, plan whatever, and you do it. So here it is complete the activity. So the network diagram of above project would be as follows. How it is A and B, right? So A, B is the crop activity, and the sale of activity CD is to transplanting the crop whatever, means nursery and transplanting the crop. So here the Z presently by dashed arrow in diagram because both are different. So is a dummy activity. This does not consume any resources obviously, and have zero time and zero cost. So this only represents the logical relationship among the activity, right? Here we have seen the logical relation among all that activities. Now rules for drawing the network. What is the rules? So each activity is represented by one and only one arrow in the network. Depends. And arrow is important. Yes, it's completed or it's not completed, whatever. All the arrows must run from left to right. Right to left, not do, but left to right means A completed. That's why you handle the activity B. A and B is completed after you handle or transfer activity C. A, B, C completed, then transfer activity D. So always arrow comes from left to right. Now dotted line, right? Dotted line means gap or difference. Arrow present dummy activities means it's not completed, just testing activities and dummy activities you have shown here. Then a circle presents an event. है The circle means yes, event means it is completed, it is done or not done. Means if you are doing circle means it's completed. Then B circle, it's completed. So every activity starts and end with an events, right? So there is some events and every activity start and end with an event. So no two activities can be identified by the same head and tail events, right? Head and tails event means same activity. We are not identified at a time because it's depend on each other. दोनों activity हम एक साथ नहीं दिखा सकते because one by one you need to complete it. Now do not use dummy activity unless required to reflect the logic. है ना? After when you start, the logic is there. है ना? If some machine or installation is not doing well, so how you start your pump, how you start your bore well, it's not. So logic is there. Some electric work, some technical work, you need to do it, right? So whatever the work, you just go thoroughly. है ना? Means as per the plan. Now avoid looping and crossing of activity arrow by repositioning. This means you need to avoid looping and crossing of activity. Then means hide nahi karna hai koi bhi activity ko. Whatever the exact time, whatever the exact arrow you need to show. And exact time means yes, now you completed this activity. And you just mention the time and completion of activity period in your register, master, wherever. Now, every activity except the first and last must have at least one preceding and one succeeding activity. So, the isolated activity must be avoided. Yes, you have decided, yes, karna hai, but you are undo. So, don't be calculated and don't be avoided. Whatever, if something is left, so you need to complete it. कुछ भी छोड़ना नहीं है. Now, for coding, use alphabets for all activity, which we have seen already, including the dummy activity and numbers of events. Yes, you just prepare a plan, you just prepare your presentation of that particular activities, and on that basis, you complete it. Now, next it is here the standard presentation of the event. So event code, first you need to do event code, then earliest start time, EST, and latest start time, right? So the network diagram for the project detail, here we have seen, right? The A, when we start, the circle is here because A started and A finished, then A transfer the activity B, right? B completed, that's why the circle is mentioned, and then handover or transfer C, C completed and circle, make it circle, and then start to then he just stop here. After that, D start his work because we need to do one by one, right? So C ने क्या किया, complete करके यहाँ छोड़ दिया. Then D start his work. D ने complete किया and E को transfer कर दिया. E ने complete किया and F ने finished किया, right? So that is the path. That is the critical diagram you need to prepare in your exam, and full marks you will get it. 10 out of 10 you will get it, that diagram. But formula you need to learn, like optimistic time, TO, then most likely time is TM, and pessimistic time is TP divided by 6. Okay, whatever the figure you just given in the problem, you calculate it, and on that basis you prepare the diagram with arrow and prove it ki which path is going good. So the here is the path is activity interrelationship, right? Now next we have started the network analysis. What is network analysis? It helps the manager to calculate the duration and identify critical activities in a project, right? So after when you start work, and if you are in phase 3 or 4, so that time you don't find with how much work you completed, because every day you prepare report, every day you submitted that kind of report, but the completion of work report you couldn't calculate. So how you calculate? So that network analysis, that critical path, it's help you to complete the project. So as a project manager, you wait your team, whatever you selected, phase A, phase B, phase C. So on that basis, you prepare your critical path. If phase A is completed, then no pending work. Okay, it means zero activity, and they completed overall. So they have given the A, then phase 2 given B, phase 3 is not completed his activities, but he just informed to D group, just started their activities, but D people said like that, you know, after completion of C will started that work. Right. So the network analysis help the manager to calculate the duration and identify the critical activities in a project. So he found like that the what time and duration is required for C and D, right? And E is the finished product, means उसको finish करना है install करके और test करके. So जब तक C and D complete नहीं होगा, D will not completed their activity. So the project duration of the project is not necessarily the simple arithmetic sum of the individual activity duration. So because several activities occur concurrently in project duration would be equal to the sum of all individual activity durations only when all the activities in a project are sequentials. Yes, because everyone depends each another. So all activities of project in the sequential basis, and the starting and finishing time for each individual activity is calculated through the network analysis, right? So it's calculated through the network analysis, and these computations provided or provide a strong base for determining the work schedule. The network analysis include the following, and that is event numbering, computation of the earliest start time EST, computation of the latest start time LST, computation of earliest finish time, it is EFT, and computation of the latest finish time, it is LFT. So identification of critical path on that basis, because we have to put that kind of code and names, and computations of slack, off or float. है You have just mention on that critical path which is going slack and which is going float, right? So the event numbering, yes, coding or numbering is important. So it is common practice to number every event in the network, right? And that, so they are not duplicated, or event is identified with a reference number in the network, and every activity is identified by its preceding and succeeding event number. So there are two systems in working for numbering events, right? So random numbering system is there and sequential numbering system is there. Random number and sequential. Random means given by in the problem, and sequentials means whatever you want to take, A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever, right? So, but it comes in sequence. है ना? A, D, G, J, not like that, right? So what is random number system here? In this system, events of network are numbered randomly, avoiding the difficulty in numbering extra events due to insertion of new job, right? Any job, that's why they give identity or ID number of every employee, in the project, every employee. So it's easy to calculate the path. Yes, A, B, C, D, E, F. If you are completed, then it is easy. Sorry, it is easy to calculate by code wise. Now sequential number system, it is the event are numbered successively from the beginning to the end of the network, starting to end of the network. For any individual job, the head event must bear a higher number than the tail, right? Higher, whichever is important, whichever is highest number. So Fluxon has reduced these sequential numbering to the following routine, and that is find the initial event and number. An initial event is one which has arrows emerging, like form it, but none emerging entering it. So now delete all arrows, whatever the arrows you have taken, and if it is wrong, right? So already number are given, and depends on you how you selected A, B, C, D, or E, F, G, H, whatever. So number all new initial events 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So 0 to 9 number are there, and you are given any kind of number. till a final event is reached. The final event is one which has no arrows emerging from it. So the complete sequential numbering systems described above is inconvenient when extra jobs have to be inserted. Extra job, no extra job. If sometimes it's inserted, then you mention coding and then you completed it. So extra job often mean extra event. When these events are numbered, all the events following they must be remembered. So one way to overcome this difficulty is to use tens only, like for the first event, and then you started that particular event, right? So 20 for the second event and so on. And the event numbering of the network diagram for project we have seen here. So lift irrigation, and the project name is lift irrigation in the farm. So the activity and symbol will given A, B, C, D, E, F, right? So first activity is site selection. It is preceding time, means you have just select the site and it will take 7 days. Right. Now digging well, it's a B coding and the preceding activities, because when A is completed, then it will start. That's why digging well is preceding activity called preceding activity at A, and it will give 3 days. Right, time is digging well को 3 दिन लगेगा. Then laying field channel, the code is C. Then after completion the B, है ना, work of B. Then C started his work. Means C is depend on B, right? Here we have seen clearly that C is depend on B, and when B is completed, then C will start, and the duration of time is 15 days. Procurement of pump is D, means if A activity is completed, then digging well and procurement pump both are started one time, and it's a depend on A, means D तब तक काम नहीं कर सकता जब तक A का काम नहीं होगा, right? So it will take 7 days. Then installation of pumps, right? So the code of E and installation pump is depend on D and B. When the B is completed their work and D is completed his work, then E started the installation of work, and it will take 3 days time. And test, for test, the F code is there and test is depend C and E. C is completed their channels, all channels is fitted, and E is installed everything, right? So the F started the test. Yes, water will come or whatever the activity they required, right? So here test is, and the time is, the duration time is 2, right? The duration time is 2, and here we have seen the critical path. We have make the network diagram on that particular it, right? So here the one and the coding is given, right? A, the A here we have seen the circle, means A is started and A is completed his, then transfer to P, right? Number of coding is 2, digging well wala. Then B is completed his activity and transfer C. Now C complete his activity. Then here D started his activity and complete and transfer to E. The coding is given 5. 5 is the installation pump, and CE is transfer to activity F, because both have completed his work and F started the test, right? Hope you understand. Yes, anyone want to ask any question regarding this? Do you understand what I'm saying? It's very easy how to calculate critical path. Hello? Am I audible, Sakshi?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now, where we are, yes. So the way how to calculate the critical path is here. Now the computing earliest start time. How we'll calculate earliest start time and latest start time. So earliest start time represents the time before which the activity cannot begin, and latest start time refers to the latest time by which the activity must begin. So the earliest start time and the latest start time activity is computed by two phases. The earliest start time is calculated first in the forward pass beginning from the start event, and for the start event the earliest start time is always set to 0 so that it can be scaled to any convenient calendar date at a later stage. So the earliest start time at the event is generally considered to be the project duration, right? Whatever the duration is there, you need to start it, and the minimum time required for project completion. So therefore, earliest start time and latest start time are equal at the end event, and latest start time for others event is then calculated through backward pass starting from the end event. Step involved in computations are listed below, right? So earliest start time and latest start time is through forward pass and through backward pass. Calculations begin from start event and calculations start from end event, means latest time. So here the proceed from left to right, proceed from right to left, different, means it is a different of earliest start time and latest start time. So you should know about that difference. At start event, earliest start time is 0 because we have no output, we have no what material and resources available on that time. And here the at end event means latest start time equals to earliest start time, right? Earliest means before start here. You have given, for example, of Chandrayaan, right? Simple example of Chandrayaan. They have started the to launch Chandrayaan, and when it was the last moment, if you remember last moment, they judge the last 2 minutes, last 100 minutes, last 10 minutes, last 99, last 88. So it's a the means whatever the time they have fixed, only that time they launch. But the time is fixed, not start early. If you start early before 5 minutes, if you start early and before 5 minutes, then you mention that time also. Got it? So that is most, because it's a project and you follow the deadline. And for that deadline, you mention the time, you maintain the time, you follow the time management. That's why here we calculated earliest start time, latest start time. What its time is important. So at the merge event, take maximum value we required, and at a burst event take minimum value, है ना? So if you complete your work on time, means you save your time, your money, your value, right? Your resources, everything. But if you will take a long time, means you waste your value, money, investment, everything you waste, means करना है इसलिए आप कर रहे हो. That's not me. Now, next example of EST is EST of an activity, and it's a preceding activity plus activity duration. EST start event 1 or 2 activity, which is 0. So to compute earliest start time, at event number 2 at 7, the duration of activity A to 0. This is also the EST for both activities B and D starting from event, and continuing EST at event is the 3 to 10. So here are given the numbers, and on that basis you need to calculate the critical path, right? So if you practiced how to calculate EST, whatever the diagram, whatever the chart you have to prepare, and on that basis you start critical. And here we call the computation of EST, earliest start time. right? If A is completed his task before time, then definitely B start earliest his work. If B is completed and C start their work, if C completed, then hand over the project in D, and D completed, then hand over E and C and E both hand over to F, right? So it is called computation of earliest start time. Now, what is the latest start time? Overall activity is given, and on that basis, you prepare the chart, right? EST and LST, whatever the figures it's given in the problem, right? Value and figures given in the problem. On that basis, you prepare the LST chart, latest start time charts, right? So first you need to complete earliest start time chart, and then you completed latest start time of chart, right? And it is the activity. It's very easy. Now the computation of earliest finish time and earliest start time. Here we have seen the activity EST of preceding activity and activity duration. The calculation of LFT start from the last activity, right? Here we have seen the table and charts are there. Then calculation of slacks, floats. So slacks or float is used to indicate the spare time available with the non-critical activity is there. So, however, in general, slacks relates to event and float to an activity. These are important for something, the reasons, resources, whatever the material, whatever the things you required, you all gathered and started. So, slack time, float, free float, everything you have calculated as per the EST and latest start time, right? So various floats are there, but you just calculated the EST and LST float, right? So here are two diagram. Every times we have in the diagram x-axis and y-axis. Here also you have to take the selection of that particular line diagram. Then you given the name of that activity, earliest start, latest start, total float, free float, whatever. So you just read it when we share the notes to all of you. And now here critical event, what it is, sometimes the critical event of the projects are identified by the event slack. So difference between LST and EST or critical event, this slacks is 0. So value of latest start time and earliest start times are equal. Sometimes it's not the different, but the main deadline is to complete the tasks on time, right? So that's keep in your mind. And the event slacks computed for all the events of the projects, right? And it is the table we have seen event slacks. The event number is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. Then latest time when you started in the days, latest start time in 0 when you started. Then 7 10 minutes, 14 minutes, 25 minutes, 27 minutes, whatever. Earliest time is 0, then start in 7 10 22 25 27 minutes. Then event slacks 0 0 0 0 8, the difference we have calculated here. And it is the critical, and when it's a same way, it's not critical because A B C D everyone hand over the task. Critical means it's a long time, or because of A or B not finished his or her activity, that's why it's difficult to come to start their activities, because they depend each other, means it is interrelated activity. So here with above value of EST and LST and event lags is critical is 1, 2, 3, 5 and 6. Now how we identify of critical activity? There is the latest start activity and earliest start activity are equal to the head event, and latest start activity and earliest start activity are equal at tail event. Then difference between earliest start time and the head and tail event of the activity equals to be activity time, right? So the difference between a latest start time and head and tail event of the activity equals to the activity time. So review of computations results suggest that the critical activity in the projects are A, B, C and F, right? So identification of critical path is, the critical path is the chain of critical activities spanning the network from start to end, and the path joining all the critical events are there. So it is also the longest path from start to end of the project network. So alternatively, therefore, comparing all the possible path lengths can identify the critical path. So the critical path time is the shorted durations and whatever, and the critical path is denoted preferably by denoting the critical events. So you have calculated on that basis. I hope you understand this session, and it is important, but practice is required for that. If you know how to calculate the formula on that basis is very, so you just every day or 2 3 days or within a week you just practice of that critical path, so it is easy to calculate in the time of examination. So the critical path of the project can also be denoted in terms of the event number. In the present project it is 1 2 3 4 5 6 to distinguish the critical path from other path, right? So here we calculated. Now the critical path and project management, the critical path time being the shortest project time, any delay in completion of any of the activity on the critical path, and it is calculated on that particular way, whatever we have seen. Now the revision of network, this will start from tomorrow, okay, because it's a very big. So I hope you understand the activities of critical path and what is the earliest time, latest time and all. And please inform to your colleague to log in the session, because if you're not logging, your internal mark is going less, right? You will not get the marks. And if you log in only 10 minutes or 5 minutes, the absent will be marked, because full session you need to attend. Yes, I know it's a critical time for you, because everything you need to do and you miss your what sleep, but please forget it. सोने के लिए पूरी जिंदगी पड़ी हुई है बच्चों, सोना अभी important नहीं है, अभी just want to do it. And at that age you are all young students, so I hope you understand the thing, क्योंकि ये सब हम आपके लिए ही कर रहे हैं, है ना? We have take efforts, all faculties take efforts to do best of the best, but if you don't do it, so it's very difficult for you, not for us, right? So हम लोग चाहते हैं कि आप सब लोग बहुत what ambitious hope, and you achieve some things whatever you want in your life. So but for that you need to do work hard, you need to do self study, and without self study you can't achieve anything else. So you know, and you learn when you start your SIP. So sometimes, not sometimes, every times, every day you face a problem, but you learn something from that, right? So just take a positive attitude and start your day. So it's really really helpful for you. And if you want any problem, anything regarding SIP, regarding syllabus, regarding you are not attending the lectures, please inform us, please meet us physically in college. So we are here to help for you, na? We are your guide, we are your mentor. So don't be hesitate to communicate with your mentor, your guide, right? Please cooperate to all. So hope you understand. Anyone want to ask any questions? No. Chalo. Thank you so much. Have a good day to all of you. Bye bye. Take care.
Thank you, ma'am.